Hello everyone, Ollie here and welcome back to the channel. I've talked about using ANKI before in my videos, which is a free flashcard based app that uses spaced repetition to help you learn topics and keep them in your memory for long periods of time. So I thought I'd make a video showing you how to get started, how to use the program, and then how to sync it to a mobile device so you can make the most of it. The first thing we're going to do is head to the ANKI website itself, hit the download button, and download it for your platform of choice. They've got it for Windows, Mac or Linux, and I want the Windows version as I'm running Windows 10, and save it to a location of your choice. You're then going to want to find it on your PC and run the executable to start installing the program. You might get a warning like that, but just let it install and we are good to go. So we can get rid of that and we can close that down. So now that we've gotten rid of that, we can search for the app and welcome to the main user interface for ANKI. If it's your first time ever using the program, you will see this window, which is the profiles menu. This will probably be called default or something like that. You can rename it to whatever you want. I'm going to call mine Ollie just for the sake of simplicity. And here we get the main window. So this is where you will organise all your flashcards in the main interface. We've got a default deck with nothing in it to start with, but I'm going to put in, we're going to rename it, say, cranial nerves, just by clicking this little gear icon to the side. If we then click on that, it will say, congratulations, you've finished, because there are no cards in it, so we've achieved 0 of 0. It thinks we're done for now. But we want to add some flashcards, so if we go up into the middle here, it says Decks, Add, Browse. We're going to press Add. Alternatively, you can press A on your keyboard and you'll get the Add Card menu. And this works just the same as you would use a physical flashcard. On the front, you'll have your question perhaps, and on the back, you'll have an answer. So in the front box, we're going to put, what are the 3 branches of the trigeminal nerve, for example. And the 3 major branches, we go to the back and we're going to type in ophthalmic, hopefully I've spelled that correctly. 2 is the maxillary and 3 is the mandibular. And if you're happy with that question, obviously you can choose whatever question you want, but you'll then press add and then we hit close. This has given us the option to add another question. You'll see that new cards now reads 1. So if we click study, our question, which was on the front of the card, appears. So what are the 3 branches of the trigeminal nerve? In order to see the answer, we click Show Answer. And there we go. The back of our card now appears to show us the answers. And this is the cool bit with ANKI. Depending on how easy or difficult we found the question, if you just look at the bottom here, it says easy, good, or again. And depending on which one we choose, that will bump the card back a particular amount of time. So if you found it super easy and I press easy, I won't see the card again for 4 days. If I found it middling, I'll see it again at some point in the next 10 minutes, and if I need it doing again, I will see it again very quickly so it stays fresh in my mind and I can have another chance to learn it. And this is the basis of how the spaced repetition aspect works. You'll see the cards you find difficult more often, which makes them easier to remember, and the ones that you can already remember really easily go to the back of the deck so you see them less often, so you're not wasting your time on things you already know. So what we're going to do at this point is add another question. If I press add, we'll get this add dialog box again, and we could say, does cranial nerve 1 have motor or sensory function or both? And cranial nerve 1, the olfactory nerve, has sensory function only. So if we add that, when we go back to click Decks, you can now see that cranial nerves has 2 cards in it, and it's added that second card. And just to illustrate how you would create another deck, if we go down to the bottom here, we're going to click Create Deck, and we're going to call this one Plumbing, so I'll do something to do with arteries and veins. Now we have 2 decks. I'm going to click on your plumbing deck, which again is empty. So I'm going to go ahead and press the A key to add another card, which is a really useful shortcut. And I could say something like, what major artery does the superior thyroid artery arise from? and it comes from the external carotid. So we'll add that, and now plumbing has one card in it. Now what we're going to do is click browse, and this is going to show us the cards in a particular selection. So it says here hit enter to show current deck. So I'm going to do that, and we can see the card that we just added, and it's got the front and the back so we can edit it if we want. And we're actually going to do a little bit of formatting just so I can show you how to change things. So if we want, we could put external carotid in bold by pressing the bold key here. We could italicize it, underline it, or even change the color, the standard blue. If you want to change it to a different color, let's have it be red, because it's an artery. You click the little arrow next to the color box, and we'll make it red now. So that's how you would do the formatting if you want to. Then we're going to close that down. If we go to study the card, what major artery does the superior thyroid artery arise from? The external carotid. You can see that it's saved our formatting. Just to show you another way of doing that if you want to edit cards on the fly, I'm going to go into plumbing, click study, and we've got our card again. If you go into more, there are a load of things we can do. We can mark the note as important, we can bury the card so we won't see it again for a while, we can delete it, or if you want to edit it, you can press E on your keyboard, and then you can edit the card while studying if you notice a mistake or something like that. It can also be really useful to group decks into similar themes. The program doesn't like you doing this extensively, but I prefer doing it. You can see that cranial nerves, the first deck we made, has 2 cards in it, and plumbing has 1. What we're going to do is create another deck, and we're going to call this head, because all the questions we've done so far happen in the head. And what we can then do is click and drag cranial nerves into the head box, and you can see that it's now gone underneath it in a tree structure. We're going to do the same with plumbing, drag it into the head box, and now head, the group, contains all the cards from the 2 decks that we've put within it. So if we actually click head, 3 cards we can study and go through them, and we can be tested on all 3 cards. So that could be really useful if you want to group into anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, things like that, or even group by lecture theme or something like that. So that's how you use the program on a desktop. Now I'm going to show you how to set it up to use with a mobile device as well. So now what I've got going on this screen is on the right over here I've got the desktop version that we've been using so far, and over here I have a window illustrating a mobile device. So this is what you would do with an Android phone. The process is exactly the same for an iPhone or a tablet or whatever. Just use the App Store suitable for your device. Now, unfortunately, the Apple App Store version of ANKI does cost something around $25. This is because the guy who originally came up with ANKI coded it for that platform. Someone else entirely made the Android version, which is why it's not charged for. For me, the money would well be worth it, but if you really don't want to pay that for it, you can use the web. But if you really don't want to pay for it, you can use the ANKI web interface by navigating to it on your iPhone or iPad, and I've linked to that, as well as put all the useful links from this video in the description. But I'm going to search for ANKI in the Google Play Store. ANKI Droid is actually the one we want, so look for ANKI Droid, or, you know, the ANKI app on whatever platform you've used, hit install, and we're going to open the app. Okay, so once you've installed ANKI Droid, it will appear like this on your mobile device. So our interface here is blank. You actually can add decks and cards from this side menu in just the same way as you would on the desktop version, but obviously you're using a mobile keyboard, so I don't necessarily recommend that. What I'm going to show you now is how to sync what we have on the desktop version over here on the right to our mobile device over here on the left. So what we need to do to make this happen is to come up to the top right. In the desktop version you can see a little bar graph, which is our statistics, and this little circle with 2 arrows in it, which is the synchronize key, and that's what we need to do. So let's press synchronize. You need an account with the central ANKI server in order to do this. If you don't have an account, please press this sign up button here, put in your details and activate your account. I've already got mine set up, so I'm just going to put in my details, then going to press OK, and now this sync media dialog will pop up. So if we hit that synchronize button, what we've now done is uploaded these decks that we made earlier onto the ANKI server. And now we need to pull that to our mobile device. So if we come up to the top right in the mobile version, press the sync, we're going to need to put in the same details that we've just put in that you just set up on the ANKI website. If we log in, and it will now synchronize everything, and you can see that on the mobile version it's pulled down the exact same questions. And just to show you how easy it is to synchronize your changes, I'm going to create another deck and I'm just going to call it sync test and add a quick card that's just some numbers just so I can show you how this works. I've added sync test with our test card in it, go back to decks, and so we can see that there's one deck with an unstudied card in it. I'm going to press synchronize. That will upload all my changes to the cloud. In the mobile version, if I press synchronize, it's now pulled down my new test deck. So you can see that this one card is unstudied. I'm now going to click sync test in the mobile version to study. If I was on the bus or something, 1111, the answer is 1111. I think that was pretty easy. And now you can see that the one unstudied card has disappeared because we've studied it. We need to sync both of those. If I now sync my desktop version, the one has disappeared because it knows that on the mobile version we've studied it. And what that means is that if you're studying somewhere where you don't have an internet connection, say you're walking to school or you're on the bus or something, you can be using ANKI if you want, and it'll save your progress into the app, which you can synchronize as soon as you've got a web connection again, and it'll transfer all your statistics between the two versions. And that, guys, is where I'm going to wrap this really quick introductory guide to using ANKI and setting it up with your mobile device. This can be a bit fiddly to do because it's open source software, but it's been a super valuable tool for me, and I hope that this video has been useful in showing you how to get started and how to get it synced between your desktop and your mobile. If you have any questions at all, please don't be afraid to drop them down in the comments section. I'm on hand and I'll answer them as quickly as I can. And otherwise, I'll see you in another video. Take care, guys. See you soon.